start with contemplation, one needs to start looking at reality exactly as it is. That's what the practice is about. So, is this apple conscious? Does it know that it has seeds within it to create more apples? Does it one day aspire to become an apple tree? Does the caterpillar know that he is going to turn into a butterfly? And do you know who you are? Life's most fundamental question that the Greek philosophers, Roman emperors, all the religions around the world have only pointed to and have never answered the question, who am I? And that is a good place to start with contemplation. So who am I is pretty much like this apple in the beginning. It's pretty easy to leave it at this is an apple, but you need to go further. Why is it food? Why is it here? How did it end up here? So we might think we have ourselves and apples all figured out. That is until we try and use contemplation to get to the reality of the apple and the self. So this apple is food. It has energy. It has taken energy from the ground. It has been here for thousands of years. Why? Why is it here? What is it doing? And of course, we think we know what an apple is, and we don't see the tree. We assume that it's separate from the tree. Others might argue that it has the tree within it. And these are all philosophical questions. So there is an old Greek story about the Ship of Theseus. And the Ship of Theseus was built and used in a war successfully by the king of Athens, and the town and community decides to keep the ship in perfect order for 1,000 years. And every year they go and sail the ship and commemorate the king's deeds. So the ship needs repairs, and over the years, each part of the ship get replaced. So the sails, the wood, the deck, all of it gets replaced, and eventually the entire ship is replaced, and the ship is still sailed. So when that ship is sailed, is that still the Ship of Theseus? Or is the Ship of Theseus still back in the harbor? And even more problematic would be the question of, if we had to rebuild in the harbor and take all the old pieces of the ship and put them back together, would we have two ships of Theseus if we parked them together? So these are all fundamental life questions. Which ship is the Ship of Theseus? Some people argue that both are the Ship of Theseus, even though not one part remains the same in the new ship. Others argue that there's still only one Ship of Theseus, but it's a good philosophical question to contemplate. I think at the end of the story of the Ship of Theseus, we try and understand how two ships can come out of one ship. Argumentatively, let's suppose with our limited consciousness that two ships came out of one. Are we similar when answering the question of who I am? Who am I? So contemplation is an exercise and a practice higher than meditation, because it enables us to question reality and get answers back to see exactly what it is. Now in meditation, obviously, meditation is called a practice, but you don't practice, you don't experience anything, you go beyond experience, and that is pretty much the point. With contemplation, we are trying to establish the reality and nature of life, the universe, and ourselves. A 3-word question, who am I, would literally take us hundreds and hundreds of lifetimes to solve. So far, no one has really solved that question. The sages and the saints have used that question, who am I, to teach us that we need to go beyond what the mind can understand to really understand ourselves. So it is beyond, that 3-word question is beyond anything the mind can answer. So the Ship of Theseus can be personalized to represent a mother and a child. Once they were together, once they were one, and that mother was in turn part of her mother. So there is a grandmother, a mother, and a child. And then one day, a grandchild will come out of that. So if we relate it to the Ship of Theseus, we can have 2, 3, 4, or a billion ships. So to practice contemplation, what you can do is start with the question of, who am I? And go a little bit deeper. In contemplation, we have 5 fundamental life questions that we ask. The first one being, where have I been? Where have I been? 2, who am I? 3, where am I now? 4, why am I where I am right now? And 5, where am I going? So you need to know who you are if you need to understand where you are going, and contemplation is a practice that will help us solve this. Are you your body as you once thought you were? At one stage of your life, you believed you were connected and you were not an individual separate from your parents. Then you grew up and realized or thought that you were separate. Then you believed you were your body. You are not your body. How can you be your body if every 7 years every single cell in our body is replaced? Not one single cell remains that is the same. So here we go with the Ship of Theseus again. Who am I? Am I the cells? Because those cells, the entire body, will not be here in a matter of years. It is being replaced part by part like that Ship of Theseus. So am I my body? Is a good place to start. Am I my emotions? Am I my soul? Am I my personality, my attitude, my moods? Am I all of this clumped into one, or am I part of it? Does a soul or spirit fit into who I am? If I am this body and this body alone, where will it be in 8 years' time? Now the Buddha spoke of Dukkha, which is a concept that wherever we go, whichever journey we take, we will always end up in a place of suffering. So Dukkha represents the human condition, the condition of the mind. Wherever we go, we will find suffering. And I think the Buddha meant this not to make us dismal or bleak, but to make us understand that we really, really need to go above intellect. We have to go above what the mind can understand. And this is why philosophy is staying as stuck as many of the religions and pretty much the hard problems of science that we face today. It is stuck because you have to transcend yourself or go above who you think you are at various different stages of your life. And that normally does come through suffering. Spiral dynamics teaches us that suffering will get us up there to a level of higher consciousness where we need to be faster than anything else. Only love and suffering are here to move us somewhere, but yet we're not going anywhere. So that is why in meditation we experience nothing. So to try and get a good experience of what life really is, who you really are, where you've been, where you're going, you can use contemplative practice simply by asking 3 simple words. Who am I? And really taking the time to engage and go beyond the first answers and the next questions and then the next answers, like peeling an onion. You need to go beyond those things to get a deeper sense of understanding of who you are. So Dukkha is really about us showing up to a place where we think we are happy, we've got money, power, we've got a house at the beach, and we think it'll make us happy, but yet we find eventually suffering. It's never enough, and never enough is the human condition that has got half the world suffering right now. It's not enough where we are, who we are, what we are. We're always wanting more. We're wanting what she has or they have, because we think we can escape dukkha. So if we are not our moods and our attitudes and our personality, and we are not our emotions, body and mind, what are we? Who are we? And who am I? Are difficult questions. They get even more difficult. Why am I who I am? Why am I where I am? All very, very difficult questions to answer, but they point us towards who we really are. So meditation itself will take us beyond doing, beyond the experiential. And if we are wanting to arrive and experience the house at the beach to be happy, the cars, the mansions, then we will always run into dukkha. So meditation is a level of consciousness that we can rise above to experience who we really are. Who we really are, unfortunately, has never been put into words, and it might never be. So we need to experience it in silence. The language of silence is pretty much the closest we're going to get. The good news is that that is all you seem to need. So all the desert fathers, the teachers of the past, they've all helped us understand that it is human being, and that being is a place beyond striving and beyond the ramblings of the mind and the searching and the continuously being let down by not being able to sustain or keep things that will make us happy. So everything is impermanent, and that's something that we need to accept, something that the mind really battles with. So contemplation really takes us back to understanding that we're really not just mind, body, and soul. So who we are to date is really possibly incomprehensible. So we need to know that contemplation will remove all the surface level clutter, the emotions, the attitudes, the moods that are not really us, not even that persona. And it'll take you back to who you really are.